The thing that I find so interesting about the wealth market is that as firms are getting larger, right, as wealth management firms, as banks, they're getting larger and they're looking to really lean in on what they do best, which is serving their clients, expanding their relationships with their clients. And as they do that, they need to work with partners who can be their outsource provider, who can take on the investment management, who can build custom solutions for them. And so this is just one example of a very large global bank selecting BlackRock to be their outsource provider. But we're seeing this every single day from financial advisors all around the country. They're looking to work with firms like BlackRock so that we can customize solutions for them and take on the investment management so they can do what they do best, serve their clients, expand their client
So this is
reach.
just the beginning of a lot more to come.
Just the beginning. So much more to come.
I was just going to ask, should investors expect more of these partnerships to be announced?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, today BlackRock has over 30,000 financial advisors just in the U.S. who are already relying on us to be their outsourced provider. Then you enter a firm like Citi, a massive global bank. There will be more firms coming who are going to come to BlackRock and ask for this type of partnership.
So you guys see a lot. How would you describe the investment environment? We were just talking to Matt Middleton, who puts on this event, and said last year it was all about the upcoming U.S. elections. They've happened, right? And we have a president who's very active on things that really impact the investment environment. How would you describe the environment today?
Well, look, I think a lot of people, with reason, of course, have uncertainty around economics, uncertainty around tariffs, uncertainty around everything and what that means for their portfolio. What I find most positive and exciting is the fact of all of these people who are thinking about what does this mean to my savings? What does this mean to my ability to retire? What does this mean to my ability to send my children to school? Well, they're working with professionals like financial advisors, like so many of the advisors that are here. And the job of the advisor is to help them navigate that uncertainty and help them focus on the long term, right? It's about time in the market, not timing the market. And that's something that we believe very strongly.
What are the questions that they're asking right now, especially the wealthier clients? Mm-hmm. What do they want to know? What do they want to invest in? What opportunities do they want you to provide?
Yeah, there's two massive things. One is taxes. Help me better manage my taxes. I can control for that. I can't control markets. Help me better manage.
It's so funny that you say that. I feel like all of a sudden we've noticed too, I think, in conversations that it's, yes, about returns, but it is about tax
alpha
advantages. Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. Tax alpha. So go ahead.
Forgive me. But you're right. That is top of mind for high net worth, ultra high net worth investors because one, they can control it. Two, there's actually a pretty significant implication on their portfolios when you think about taxes. And so it's exactly why a few years ago BlackRock acquired a company called Aperio. Aperio is a direct indexing company, a platform that had best-in-class capabilities to help end investors customize portfolios, right? Single security portfolios maybe for their values, their beliefs, most importantly, their taxes. And today, that's one of our largest growing platforms. Aperio direct indexing, also SpiderRock, where you can do custom overlay, custom options overlay. Think about that Apple executive that worked at Apple for years and years and years and has all of this Apple stock. That's emotional for them. They want to hold on to that. There's a lot of tax implications in that. But at the same time, they can hedge against that. They can run options on top of that. And that is top of mind.
Okay, so taxes was one thing. What's the other one?
Private markets.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Of course you did. Private markets, every headline.
What part of that specifically? When you think of alternatives, when you think of private markets, where?
Yeah, so let me take a step back and say one of the things we believe very, very, very strongly at BlackRock is our job is to help make it easier for investors to access the full power of the capital markets. Now, previously, capital markets meant public markets. We know the opportunities that exist beyond the public markets in the realm of private companies. And so it's why last year we acquired Preqin from a data perspective. We acquired GIP, HPS, because we feel so strongly.
Preqin being, I know, for those of us in the journalism world, I mean, that's where we go in terms of for data on the private markets.
Every slide, every chart you see, source Preqin. And it is really the only source of truth on private markets. And so if we have that in addition to all of these capabilities that help us build products that allow people to more efficiently access the private markets, then we can better serve our clients in the wealth market, not just institutions any longer, and also in retirement.
We're talking with Jamie Majira, Managing Director, Head of U.S. Wealth Advisory and Head of Retirement at BlackRock here at Futureproof in Huntington Beach. We reported, too, that I think Larry Fink, your CEO, has talked about, and your CFO, about offering target date retirement funds that include private assets. next year. I mean, it meshes kind of with the survey that you guys put out today that talks about 24% of retirement plans are considering adding alt assets over the next year, private equity, credit, and other investments. Is that still on track? Can you give us an update?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, it is still on track. Look, I think there's been a lot of headlines from a lot of different firms about people coming to market with ideas of how to incorporate private markets
safely, right? Because we have to remind everybody they're not as liquid as a lot of investments that normally your retirement funds go into.
Yeah, there are many considerations that plan sponsors and investors need to think about to make sure it's right for them. Our view is that if we can do this thoughtfully, strategically, integrating private markets, private assets, into a target date fund alongside of public markets and manage that glide path so it's appropriate for people at different stages of their life, then we can actually deliver them 15% more returns over a 40-year, or 15% more retirement assets, I should say, over a 40-year time horizon. That's a long time, and that's a lot more retirement savings. And so we believe strongly in that. We are on track. We actually are already in market as well in the smaller and mid-sized retirement space. So we partnered with a company called Great Gray, and we're powering their glide path so that they can incorporate public and private markets into one target date solution.
Do you know, when we think about target date solutions now, what we know and what we've experienced is like the asset allocation between equities and fixed income. Do we get to a point where that's not even a choice anymore? It's like equities, fixed income, and privates?
It's interesting. I think for so long, people have thought about the 60-40 portfolio. Equities, fixed income. Some people may be as bold we are to say 50-30-20. That 20% might be 10% private equity, 10% private credit, different diversified assets in there. But absolutely, I think the new portfolio, the portfolio of the future to fund these longer lives has to incorporate private assets.
You know, one of the things out of your survey that I thought was really interesting was guaranteed income is now a top priority. 86% of workplace savers want it. And for the first time, 100% of employers say they feel responsible for helping participants generate income in retirement. I keep thinking about my father who had a pension and VA benefits and investments, and not a lot of people are doing pensions, right, or anything anymore. And so I am curious about how employers are thinking about this. That struck me.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because you raise such a good point. So employers used to have pension plans,
right,
and then the conversion to defined contribution. Well, we're now seeing pensionization of defined contribution. Think about private assets have been available in pensions for decades. Well, now they'll be available in 401k plans, retirement plans. Same thing with guaranteed income. That's what the benefit of a pension was, but there's no flexibility around that. So BlackRock has created a solution. It's a target date fund solution. It's called LifePath Paycheck. And what it does is it actually delivers you the option, the choice to have guaranteed income. You can choose to take that or not, but it's giving savers and employers the option to have their employees have more security, have more simplicity, have more confidence in their retirement income. One of the things I'll just add is that I found so interesting in our survey, when you look at retirees, 27% of retirees, only 27%, are confident in their ability to live through retirement on their savings.
Well, that's discouraging.
It's discouraging.
Well, so what's the implication of that, just in the last minute that we have with you? Because that has implications beyond our own portfolios. That has real societal implications.
It has societal implications in that there's going to be this whole group of Americans who are trying to live through retirement. Maybe they do another job. Maybe they spend differently. That shouldn't be the case. Longer lives should be a blessing. They shouldn't be a challenge. And that's where guaranteed income comes in. That's where the modernization of 401k plans to include private assets comes in. And that's where more advice comes in, which is why we are here at Future Proof Festival. Advisors play a massive role in this.